Is the Breezy Point City Council regular meeting July 5th, 2016. First order of business is pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everybody. First item on the agenda here is the consent calendar. You have before you the council minutes from June 6, 2016. I also have the claims totaling $93,890.15, which includes paper checks 132,808 through 132,865, electronic checks 1560E through 1562E, and including is a partial pay for D. Chantel Excavating for a total of $8,430.68. Does anybody want to have anything taken off the consent calendar and discussed separately? Councilman Barone?
No.
Councilman Schmidt?
No.
Councilman Williams?
No.
I'll consider a motion to approve the consent calendar as written.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next item of business is approval of the plans and specifications for the, open forum. Next order of business is open forum. Anybody wishing to have business before the, bring anything before the city council, please do so at this time. Come forward. Anybody wishing to come forward for open forum? Nobody hearing for open forum? Close the open forum. Next item of business is the approval of plans and specifications for the 2017 paving. In the May City Council, we had requested a feasibility study to look at the costs associated with the paving improvements to White Birch 6 Edition. And these included the roadways of Navajo Trail, Aztec Circle, Zuni Circle, Pawnee Circle, and Pima Circle. The Roads Committee met and reviewed the preliminary study, and they have noted that the cul-de-sacs proposed will have a 42.5-foot radius, and the hill on Pawnee Circle will be cut down. The grade change on Pawnee Circle is going to be a shared cost rather than an accessible cost. And the roadway on Zuni is going to be requiring an upgrade to 20 feet. The other, as per the other roadways. At this point, I'll turn it over to Justin Schultz of WSN to give us a brief description of the project, and he'll address any questions that we may have. Justin.
Thanks. You covered a lot of it, similar to the last couple of years projects that we've done, where we've taken an existing gravel road that was in good standing condition, not a lot of drainage concerns, and utilized the existing gravel road bed and then paved it and made any vital drainage improvements. There haven't been many of them, but these 5 roads were again gravel, good standing condition, and the existing width. Without widening it, we're unable to reach the city's adopted road standard of a local road being I think 2 11-foot lanes and wide shoulders. So we've on the project that's currently under construction, we kind of just went with what was able to fit on the existing road, and it ended up being 2 10-foot lanes and then gravel shoulders for anywhere from 1 to 3 feet. So that's what we're going to do on those. And then, like we said, the hill on Pawnee will be leveled out. Right now it's over 10%, and we're looking at a maximum of 8% grade. And so there'll be a lot of earth moved there. We'll keep a close eye on the resulting slope from the road to the lots to make lots approachable for future homeowners or sites, buildings that would be put up on the lots heading up that hill. As far as the assessment goes, looking at it as a one big project, and all the lots across all the roads would be looking at the same assessment value or assessment total. And then if the lot has already been assessed once on a previous project, then they'll get a 50% credit. And then say if they've already paid a full assessment on a previous project, then like I said, they'd only pay 50% as much as the other homes along these roads would end up paying.
Does anybody have any questions for Justin?
I do, Justin, and I apologize if I might have missed this in the road committee, but on Pawnee Circle, looking at the counts for how many lots would be assessed, there's one right on the corner. Both the corner lots are at 0.5. I see one on the west side of that first 0.5 as a 1, but it abuts to Dove Street. Did we look into that lot to see if that may have gotten not assessed on Dove Street paving? Like I say, I might have missed this when we're in the road committee meeting too.
No, that's a good point. I know I worked with Kathy a little bit on finding what lots had previously been assessed, and I'll have to look back and double check that that one wasn't part of the list that Kathy gave me, and I maybe overlooked it, but I know I got the previously assessed lots from Kathy, but yeah, we can take a set.
Yeah, we might want to double check.
Yeah,
and like
sure.
I say, I probably missed that in the road committee meeting, so.
Any other questions?
None for me.
Councilman Schmidt?
No, no questions.
Councilman Williams? Okay, well, the next step in the process is to authorize a public hearing on this. And we have before you Resolution 1613 that will approve the plans and specifications, subject to amendment on that the lot on Pawnee there.
I'll move 1613.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Further discussion? Councilman Schmidt?
No, I don't. There was some discussion, I think, Justin, about the grade on one of those cul-de-sacs that connects up with Dove Street.
The grade of the actual cul-de-sac, or
Coming down.
Pawnee Circle, yeah, the approach, as it leaves Dove Street.
Why don't you explain a little bit about that? I think that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, so currently, city staff is having to go out and clean settled gravel or sediment out of the ditches year after year, because that slope is so steep that water's just rushing down it. It's steeper than 10% currently, and it's led to just kind of a constant maintenance concern. And then there's a culvert that runs parallel to Dove Street that should be running underneath Pawnee. It ends up being basically blocked by all this sediment, and it's causing further problems for that. So I guess in flattening the slope, we're going to make it a safer road to begin with, considering icy conditions and stuff like that in the wintertime. And then also we'll be able to enhance the ditches on the side of the road to better be able to accommodate the water and hopefully alleviate any future concerns with gravel and whatnot, and then it'll be paved. So it's going to be a much safer and more easily maintained product in the end.
If you look at page 21, image 28 shows how that culvert on Pawnee is on gravel. That'll have to be cleaned out. And just gives you an example of what
Justin, thank you. No, I don't have anything else.
Questions? Moved and seconded for Resolution 1613. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 1613 is approved. And we will be setting a public hearing for July, 25th of July at 6 o'clock. Next item of business is the public access for the on North Drive for the public.
Don't we have to do this?
That's what we're looking for right now. Public access
Oh,
improvements.
okay.
Next item is public access, the North Drive public access for the boat landing there. This is kind of a project where we got a grant from the state to do this. And we have the engineering done. You can see the plans and specifications there. Justin, if you want to, again, fill us in on this one?
Sure. Yeah, North Drive. Road accesses the DNR boat ramp to Pelican Lake, and so it was eligible for the State Park Road Account grant program through the state aid account. And we applied for the program back in fall, and the city was awarded the funds for construction this April, and so selected WSN to do the design for it. And at this point, the plans will be reviewed by Crow Wing County and then MnDOT state aid. And Joe and I have been working and decided on a bid date already in August, and yeah, it's coming along really well. So we will be paving that existing gravel road and adding concrete curb and gutter, and then be able to channel a lot of the runoff into a infiltration basin that we're going to put on the existing county parcel that's just south of North Drive. We got an easement from the county, drainage easement, that is going to allow us to do a little storage basin and collect a lot of this water that's currently running into the lake. So again, it'll be an improvement compared to, everything rushing down and taking the sediment with it.
Any specific questions for Justin? Councilman Browning?
No.
Councilman Schmidt?
Justin, we had a situation with an access for a lot, I believe, towards the bottom of that project area.
Yep.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? I found that to be kind of interesting.
Yeah, so if you were to go out there, it's evident that the lot owner north of North Drive accesses his lot off of the north side of, our turnaround at near the boat ramp. So some discussion was had about, do we continue to make that, I guess, an easy access for him, or the plan was to have curb and gutter there to aid in our drainage management. And so we didn't necessarily want to make it appear that we're not okay with him using North Drive to access his property, but we also felt like the curb and gutter is necessary, and it's not anything that he wouldn't be able to, surmount or drive over anyway. So we're gonna, I think, proceed with 6-inch, typical vertical curb and gutter, where this homeowner or lot owner currently drives off of North Drive onto his lot, and we don't anticipate there being any problem with that.
Apparently, he just used that for storage of posts. Yeah. So there will be no curb cut per se. There'll be no driveway entrance. It'll just be did you see a 6-inch curb?
Yep.
What was talked about you could put a 2x4 or something in the bridge to get over the curb. For those times when he's storing the boat and taking it out.
Thanks, thanks, Justin.
Questions for Justin?
No.
As Justin alluded to, this is on a fast track, and we want to get everything done this fall. So as a result, we're going to be going out for bids and have them due on the 16th of August at 10 a.m. And then we will be having a special meeting at 5 o'clock that evening, on the 16th of August, to award the contract. And so the council will award the contract, along with the county having some part in the funding of the project, as they are the fiscal agent. So Resolution 1614 has been has been provided for council consideration, and approves the plans and specifications, and consideration of this resolution would be appreciated.
Also move.
A second.
Further discussion, Councilman Maroney?
No.
Councilman Schmidt?
The one thing that, the next item coming up is a resolution dealing with the city evidently willing to take on the burden of any additional or unforeseen costs. Justin, give us some idea of what our expectation can be. We have an idea what the cost should be, and when the bid comes in, we'll have even a better idea, but do we have an opportunity somewhere along the line to say no to this project? And that's when?
After we receive bids, I mean, we're not awarding the contract, we're receiving bids.
Right.
And so from that perspective, we can say no. Costs that the city incurs are the engineering, surveying, financing. We have to award the project and manage the partial pays and those sorts of things. The grant provides $106,000 for the construction, so it would be out-of-pocket construction costs. Everything else is a city cost. Since the county had technically gave us or applied for the grant, they're asking that we acknowledge the fact that we're on the hook for any additional costs above and beyond the construction costs.
Does the county actually award the project then?
We technically award the project, but they have to approve it. I think the county board approves it too. Is that correct?
It's not required for the county board to approve it. We were going to have the county pay the contractor, which was an option for the city to submit the awarded contractors' pay estimates. There was the option to forward those to the county, and then the county would have to pass those through the board, and then the county would be able to directly pay the contractor. But it's easier, and it's an option for us to actually get basically all of the construction fund, the bid price, minus the 5% retainer. We can get that right away into the city's hands, and then they can just have the money from state aid to pay the contractor with. And then when the project is closed out, then state aid would be able to give the last 5%.
I think the term is due diligence on our part to make sure that we don't run into a situation where we're blindsided with some additional costs, where the cost of the project all of a sudden starts to balloon. WSN, are they confident that, right now at this stage of the game, that we're not going to run into anything like that?
Yeah, we've done a lot of, even before the city was, awarded the grant, we did a lot of preliminary investigating stuff for drainage and using available resources and dry land to be able to, make that drainage basin. But beyond that, we know that we want, the appropriate road cross-section that meets state aid standards or the state park road account standards, and then still allow parking on the north side. And we really have a good design in place, and the funds to cover it, so, yeah, at this point, I feel good about what we've got and the amount of money that we were, allocated for the project.
Thanks, Mayor.
Been moved and seconded for Resolution 1614. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 1614 is approved. And getting to the next item associated with this, Crow Wing County has requested a resolution that acknowledges the understanding that exists with the public access project. The project is funded through the DNR State Park Road account, and this makes it a state aid project. From a technical perspective, the county made the application for us, and as such, they're the fiscal agent. This resolution just acknowledges Crow Wing County will accept the funds for the project and disperse the funds up to the grant amounts. The city would also be responsible for the engineering and the award of the contract and any overruns that would be incurred with the construction. Resolution 1615 has been provided. Consideration of that ordinance would be appreciated.
So moved.
I'll second.
Further discussion? Councilman Maroney?
Just to further echo what Otto was saying, but basically if the bid's coming over and above the 106,000, we have the right to decline.
Yes, and we can rebid in the spring.
No other questions?
Councilman Schmidt?
The concern I had is with all overruns, and you're not gonna run into those necessarily.
Absolutely not.
Until you
We
run into the construction part of it. Something crazy might show up, so I mean, just so we all understand that, bids are one thing, but unforeseen circumstances may cause something to go haywire, but other than that, I think it's a
Yep.
great project.
Councilman Williams?
No, I'm fine.
All those in favor?
Aye.
1615 is approved. Our next order of business is the mayor and city council reports. Other than the 4th of July going on and all the parades and fireworks going off, one thing I would like to remind council members of is the Board of Equalization training is up and open on the state website, and I would encourage all of you to take that training at your earliest convenience. Other than that, it's been kind of a quiet last month. Councilman Williams, you have anything?
I do. The butterfly release is
Yes.
coming up the 16th of July, and there is a coloring contest for kids. They can get the picture to color here at City Hall or off the website. I hope a lot of them participate because we're hoping to get some artwork for next year's flyer.
Correct. Councilman Schmidt?
Yeah, I have two items I want to bring to the attention. I was hopeful that the chief was going to be here today. One question I have is in regards to fireworks and in the indications that we're getting over this past weekend. I know the legislature back a year or two changed the class of fireworks that we can purchase and light off in Minnesota. What I heard this past weekend would suggest that something's going on that exceeds that class, and wondering if anybody else observed that. I would think, Diane, especially on Lake Ossie, a lot of it seemed to be coming from down on that lake, and those reports were extraordinarily loud. I mean, it's,
Yeah, last night about midnight, you mean?
yeah, there was, and the times don't seem to mean anything either. I guess what I'm saying is, the louder they get, and not using discretion as far as when they're lighting this ordinance off, these fireworks off, I mean, it can be somewhat disconcerting, and I'm just bringing that to the attention of the council. It's something, 4th of July is the 4th of July, and you expect some of this stuff to happen, but I think over the years I've been seeing, I would probably term it probably a lessening of any kind of common sense when these things are being exploded. And now that we're finding that they're bringing in a class of fireworks that exceeds what I think would be allowed in the, by state statute. That might be something the police department may want to take a look at. My next item happens to address City Beach. I got a call on Saturday, person complaining about somebody fishing at the city beach. Were you made aware of that, Joe?
Yeah, Kevin talked to me today about it.
Okay. I went over and took a look at it, and first of all, I called the dispatcher at Crowing because I didn't know who to contact in our police department. So I go through the sheriff's office, getting hold of their dispatcher, asking them to get who's ever on patrol to, pardon me, to contact the Breezy Point officer, have him call me, and I would give him the story that I had gotten about this fishing going on at the beach. The county seemed to think that this was a matter for their water patrol, and I got a call from one of their deputies in the water patrol was up on the whitefish chain. And I told him, no, that's not going to work because this is in Breezy Point and at the beach, in the city beach. And I said, all I'm looking for is one of our officers to call me so he can go over there and maybe talk to the individual, because I don't think it makes sense in a crowded condition for someone to be out there fishing.
He was fishing off the
the
beach
shore?
or off in a
Both,
boat?
off the beach and wading into the swimming area.
And like casting into the swimming area?
Exactly.
Oh.
Finally, when I drove over there, Brian Sargent, our officer, I came across him and I just waved at him. He had not gotten any word from the sheriff's office that this was a complaint. But I was glad he showed up. He did a wonderful job. He went over there, talked to the youngsters who were fishing, and encouraged them to use the fishing boardwalk. That casting, and no matter whether they're doing it from the shore or wading into the area where the swimming is going on, this would not be a good idea. I thought he did a wonderful job, and as far as I know, they ceased. And whether they went to the fishing boardwalk, I don't know. Final thing I have to say is the fishing boardwalk. I thought this would be a good weekend to go over there and to observe usage and talk to some of the people, if people are on there using it, what they think of it. And of course, at the same time, I was concerned because I know we're having some issues at that fishing boardwalk. I was there on the 4th of July yesterday for approximately 2 hours. I brought 2 specimens with me who are fisher people and age 10, and turned them loose and basically told them to fish. And then I asked them afterwards, after the 2 hours, to give me a critique of what they thought, and they caught fish. And so it was 2 thumbs up. They really liked the idea that they caught fish. But then they were pointing out that I had, in that 2-hour period, I had counted better than 2 dozen watercraft going back and forth in the ditch. And of course, every time one comes, I should say not ditch, but the channel, they have to pull in and then cast out. Problem is, there's so many lily pads and stuff before you can get your hook elevated coming across. They were getting snagged. It got to be so. As we talked about it further, they had to agree that there were some issues with fishing from there. What I understand is we can't really start removing that aquatic vegetation without some kind of a permit from DNR. Isn't that correct?
Correct. Joe's been looking into that. Maybe he can give you an update.
Okay. During that period of time, 2 hours, a group showed up with 5 kids. I would say they ranged in age from maybe 13, 14 down to 5 or 6 years. They were from the campgrounds, White Birch. They weren't new to the area. I'd been talking to the adults that accompany these kids. They said they've been coming up here for 11, 12 years, 13 years, and they wanted to try the boardwalk. It was the first time they were down there. They had been using the docks at the resort, so the kids could go out and fish there, but they just thought that they'd give us a try. And I'm sad to say that they gave up after about 25, 30 minutes, half hour, I would say they were there, and they just said, enough of this. They were getting snagged. They were not, they caught a few fish, but I think they were spending most of their time trying to get their hooks off the lily pads and whatever. And so they left. I think it's a great idea to have a place where kids can fish. This one, in my estimation, is not kid-friendly. I think we're gonna have to do something either to make it kid-friendly or find some place to put that boardwalk where, in fact, it would make maybe more sense. Granted, the 4th of July may not be, it may not be a good day to go down there because things are busy.
Boat traffic.
A lot of boat traffic.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you, I had no idea that channel accommodated that much in and out. Now I'm kind of curious to go back and see where they're all going. But I just thought I would report this to the council because like I said, I think it's a good idea. When these adults and their youngsters came down to fish, I thought it was going to be kind of a nice way of kind of surveying the situation and finding out. But like I said, they didn't last a half hour and they kind of left. They were going back over to the resort and go fishing off the docks. So my other observations during this weekend, when I drove by on a couple other occasions, there was absolutely nobody using it. So that disturbed me a little bit because this is a busy weekend. I thought there would be many, many more users down there than what I saw. But I probably just didn't hit it at good times.
Yeah. In actuality, the best fishing on that channel is early in the spring, and at that time you don't have very much boat traffic.
Yeah.
But on a busy weekend, you have Waldenheim and Channel Heights back there, and there's a lot of boats that are going in and out.
Yeah.
So that is indeed a problem, and that was a problem that was known about when that site was selected. And I think the key thing there is the best fishing being in the spring.
Yeah.
With minimal boat traffic. And I think Joe can probably fill you in maybe outside the council as far as what some of the plans are as far as looking at floating docks and having those go along the shore so that you won't be trying to cast over 6 feet of weeds and everything else. So there are some some plans in the works to improve that whole situation because we realize that as it stands, that's really not very workable. So,
Well, I think,
working on it.
I don't disagree with that. I suppose spring fishing is better than it is in the 4th of July, but I was kind of under the impression that we were building this thing for summer use, and especially catering to the tourist trade that comes up here. They have a place, to bring their kids and allow them to fish. If we are going to say that maybe we post a sign or something and say fishing isn't any good here from June, July, and August, then I wonder the cost benefit of even putting the fishing boardwalk there. But having said that, it may be something we want to consider. I'm a little concerned of what the cost is going to be for these floats and whatever to make this thing usable. I guess I can assume that if we're gonna float this thing, we're gonna have to get it in the water. And that puts us closer to the open water in the channel, which is good. Kids would be able to drop their line right over the side of the fishing boardwalk.
That was always the hope.
Yeah,
If you looked at the concept picture that we had, that was it.
yeah.
When they came, they installed it in the winter against what I thought we should do. I was a really strong proponent of waiting till spring, which could have affected the placement, which then could have put them responsible for having it stand up. So I think there was an error in the timing, which shifted it to us to how do you get them back once they've constructed it. And I'll also tell you, at least on Ossie, the water is very low. And if you were fishing off my dock, you'd be pulling in weeds like crazy too. So I think that, the weeds and the low water is an issue that we're probably dealing with all through the city.
Mhm.
And we didn't build that just to cater, as you said, just to cater to tourists. There's a lot of people who live here who are off the lake. And how many places can you actually touch water here if you don't live on a lake yourself? Not many. So we were just, we wanted to give people a chance. And I think we made a good faith effort. We were surprised by the lack of a bottom under there. No one could have foretold that. But we're doing our best. We're trying to get it fixed, and I'm optimistic that it's going to be a nice amenity, eventually.
Well, here's something I'll just bring up, and I would hope we could have this discussion later when we start talking about how much money we got to put into this boardwalk to make it usable. In observing the craft that we're motoring back and forth in this busy weekend, I observed that if you have two large, what I call party barges, and I think another term is pontoons, who are coming and meeting in that area, if you're thinking about moving that fishing boardwalk out into water, I begin to wonder whether or not you're going to impede the navigation of that channel to accommodate two large, for example, pontoons that happen to be, coming down that channel at the same time.
Somebody might have to wait a little bit if they feel safe for doing that. Just like if you're on a narrow road, someone has to wait and let the other one pass.
Well, that's easier said than done. I think waiting becomes another legal matter, because if you are impeding navigation.
And we're not talking putting it like 15 feet out or anything like that.
And I don't think we're gonna be redesigning this and solving all the problems here. We know there's issues with it. We're working on those issues, and we will eventually have before us essentially a report and proposal as to what the actions are going to be.
Well, and I appreciate the opportunity, Mayor, to bring up some observations that I had, and hopefully the council will take those into consideration before they put any additional money into that boardwalk. And that's all I have.
Councilman Maroney.
Yes, Otto, I think you've got poor timing on checking out that boardwalk. I know I take frequent golf cart rides by there, and I frequently seen it being used. I think the 4th of July, as you were hoping, would be a good indication. I think the weather was just too darn nice to be worried about fishing. I think a lot of people were on the boats. I know myself, we were on the boat on Saturday and Sunday, and the traffic was horribly busy on the lakes. Just busy as could be. So I think, and even I've heard people that went to town, they said it was slow in town. Amazingly enough, for 4th of July, they felt it was slower because it was just too darn perfect out. So I think it was a good try on it, but I think it was just too nice of a weekend to have a lot of people out fishing. To speak a little bit more, and not to not mention other departments, but just some specific departments I want to mention, is the Public Works. I've had the privilege over the last month and a half to coach in my daughter's t-ball team. We practiced and had games here at the Breezy Point Field. It was outstanding, always well maintained. The bleachers are a nice addition. We had to worry about a few holes in the last game, but put some cones out and let the kids know that not to go over by those. Over the last month and a half, also played the disc golf course a number of times. That's just turning out phenomenal. Excited for the back nine on that one. And on the beach, we've also been spending a lot of time at the beach, taking the golf cart down there. So things are looking really great there. Also over the 4th, taking out golf cart rides and seeing the community. A lot of people up, a lot of people visiting family up here. It was very busy, I thought, around town, and saw a number of times, our law enforcement patrolling out at the Elvis show. So that was fabulous to see them interacting with people. And I know Otto, you'd mentioned the fireworks. I had the privilege, actually, last year on the 4th of July, I rode around with one of our officers. And amazing, a number of complaints come in regarding the fireworks. And in my opinion, this is just my overview, it was a lot of waste of time, in all honesty, to try to track down these fireworks. It seemed like our law enforcement could be doing so much more, and not just locally here, but we talked to some sheriffs, and they were getting calls, and it just seemed like so much time was put forth on the effort of tracking down where these fireworks are being shot off from, and it was, in my opinion, kind of distracting away from the normal duties that you'd want to be focusing on a holiday weekend. And it was kind of an eye-opener in how much people call in. And while I believe that they can't just write them off, they have to act on them because they're legitimate calls. They have to be concerns, and it's a safety concern, it's a noise concern, it's illegal, point blank. But unfortunately, last year what I kind of opened up my eyes to was it seemed a deterrent away from doing other items in law enforcement. But I do remember that last year is a number of them. And if we're driving around and he saw a big one, we quickly tried to find where that location was to put a cease to it, because if a call hadn't already came in, it was bound to be coming in. So it was fun to do it last year. I missed out on the opportunity again this year, but I'll find another time to go out this year with our law enforcement. That's my 2 cents.
Okay. Next order of business is the election judge appointments. You have a list of the election judges in Resolution 1616.
I'll move 1616, Mayor.
Second to that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Schmidt? Councilman Browning? Councilman Williams?
Yeah, I appreciate what the people are doing. They step forward and they're willing to participate in democracy.
Very good comment. All those in favor of Resolution 1616 appointing their judges?
Aye.
Those opposed? The judges are appointed. At this point, we will adjourn the regular meeting and we'll reconvene closed session for administrator's report or review.
Are we going to meet here or in the conference room? Okay.